Good morning. Welcome to Energy Works. Today we're talking about miracles of love. So, I guess at this unusual time in the world's history of so much fear and trepidation and concern, financial destruction, I get emotional turmoil, physical fears, all these things that are happening at this moment can put us in a position of doubt or fear or feel like that life can't be okay. And so I guess what we want at this point is to feel like we can be okay, to feel like we can make a difference, to feel like that we can help the world, that we can make a difference and we can touch people's lives. And even though we are fearful and we're concerned for things that happen, I think we can make a difference by miracles of love. And I think the first miracle of love that we need to show is, first of all, loving ourselves enough to take care of ourselves the best that we can, and then going to help others. Because as we help others, we feel more, it's like we make a difference. And so if we feel like we have power or ability to make a difference, it changes how we feel about ourselves, and it changes how we deal with life. So if you're able to make a difference in this world, how would you like to make that difference? What do you think would be a good way to make a difference? And if you are stuck at the moment, where are you stuck? What aspects of your life are you stuck in? So I'd like to clear some energy around this today. And I was reading an article. It was called Trust in God. If you're not religious, you can say trust in universe. And this article says, we've all been through times when it seems like all hope was lost. In those times of despair, what can we do to keep hope alive? And so there were some suggestions that they made in this article. So if we are able to, have trust in God, universe, then we can also challenge our negative beliefs, because sometimes we get really stuck in our negative beliefs, and I know I can be too. I was very angry last week about all the things that have happened in the world and about the corruption and the things that weren't right. But if I dwell in that, I don't do good. And so it's important for me to feel like I can do good, and that I can help others to feel empowered to do good as well. So if we trust in a higher power and we trust that things are working for us, then we can make changes. It's like if we don't believe that we can trust in what will happen, then we might as well give up and jump in a hole right now. And I don't think that that's a good idea. So every difficulty that we have leads us to the opportunity to invest in the opportunity to put your hand in God's hand, and also to invest in the opportunity to help the common good. And so it's like, not only does putting trust in a higher power help us, it helps inspire other people to do the same thing. So in this article, he suggested some examples of people that have suffered many setbacks that actually resulted in their being able to achieve later greatness. So they talked about Albert Einstein, Abraham Lincoln, Walt Disney, Dr. Seuss, George Lucas, Henry Ford. And so apparently in this article, talks about Albert Einstein didn't start speaking till he was almost 3 and rarely spoke at all until he was 5. So people thought he was mentally disabled. You might feel like that sometimes too. He's now considered to be one of the most intelligent people to ever have lived. We may not know how all life's adversities will work for our good, but we should still have confidence that they will. So, what adversities are you facing right now? Is it about your work? Is it about your health? Is it about your family? Is it about your country? Is it about your finances? Where are your challenges at this particular point? So in this article, it was a quote from Sonia Lyubomirsky, and she said, "There may be no better coping mechanism than confiding or sharing a problem with a friend or intimate." We all need to share our difficulties with someone. We need to have someone that we talk to about it, someone that we vent to, and it could be someone in the family, it could be a partner, it could be someone that's out of the family that won't have judgment. So it's like being around people that light you up, people that radiate light even when it's difficult. Just being around these people makes you feel hopeful. And these people offer words of encouragement, smiles and positivity even when things seem like impossible. So sometimes you can find helpful people in next door neighbours or, at church or in a community service or, with people that you mix in the community. Sometimes we even might need to have, our favourite energy worker that we go to or a counsellor or somebody that helps you. If you see someone that you can see is trying to make a difference or they have a good attitude, I think it's worthy to think about what they are aiming for and to try and align yourself with people that are like that, people that fill you with hope, people that inspire you to do better. And trying to have confidence as well. So sometimes it's hard to have confidence when you doubt yourself, and I definitely fall in that hole very regularly. So being able to have confidence that you can, make a difference. Now, you might only have confidence in one small area of your life, but even if you focus on that area that you do have confidence and you trust in that particular area and, speak to people, show kindness, do whatever you can do and show love to people, even if it's just from that one area of your life, you can help people to feel better about these things. All right, so this is from this article. It said, when we're confident, we are hopeful. Challenges are opportunities to be confronted, not insurmountable obstacles. So that reminds me of turmeric oil. That's an oil that we might use to help us feel that we can face these difficulties. Confidence allows us to make goals and gives us the strength to achieve these goals. And this is a suggestion here too. It said, Vaughan Worthen wrote, we can gain confidence by tackling a task we've been putting off, engaging in a difficult conversation we might have been avoiding, or working on developing a talent. We should focus on effort and progress rather than complete success. Confidence is not the certainty of success, but rather the conclusion that failure does not determine our worth. We lose nothing by trying. Our confidence grows as our hope grows. And I think that's a great way to look at it, isn't it? Have a go. Okay. So doing good works, I think, is a great way too, as we do good things for other people, as we think about how other people might feel. Some people have just dropped off toilet paper to others, or, a card, or, just a phone call to say, I'm thinking of you, how's it going in your family? All those small little acts of love can be a miracle in someone else's eyes. I remember a time a friend of ours just out of the blue rang me up and said to me, I just wanted to let you know that you're doing a great job. And I was not thinking I was doing a great job at all at that point in my life. And those words brought tears to my eyes, and to think that someone thought that I was doing a good job when I absolutely, definitely felt that that was the last thing I was doing. So your kind words may just make that little bit of difference to someone that's feeling like they're not coping. Just a kind thought, a little text, just some small thing that you can do will make a difference to somebody else. As we do these small acts of kindness, we do lift the world, make the world a better place to be. We need to have hope that things can change. All right, so again, this is a quote. It's by Daniel Arkell Roker. Leela's mentioned, beauty goes, but humanitarian actions will always remain. I think so. I think there are times, like I think when you say that, one of my children, this is a long time ago, I'd filled up the nappy bucket with hot water, and we had very hot water. And he climbed on top of that bucket, and the lid caved in, and he fell in that boiling hot water and burnt his legs. And that was very hard for me, and I felt like I was a failure as a mum. And anyway, at that time, a friend, I had 2 kids at that time, a friend came around back into my house, and she had 6 kids. And I, another one, baked a cake, and, those kind of things happened, more than 30 years ago, but I won't forget them ever. And, you think about the kind acts that friends do for you and people that love you do for you, and it just makes that difference to how you attack life and how you, get on with life. So having confidence, is a quote in this article. It says, confidence is not the certainty of success, but rather the conclusion that failure does not determine our worth. We lose nothing by trying. That's why I do this podcast every week. I don't feel like that I'm hugely successful, but you know what? I'm going to have a go. And, I might go down in the flames and not be successful. But if I can make any difference to one person, then I'm happy to do that. And I think all of you have to realize that you do that. You may not realize that you do it, but you make a difference. And even if you help one person to have a little bit of hope or to try once more, you've made a difference. You've helped the world. So in this article, there was an example of someone that was very handicapped, and it was very difficult for her to leave her home. But what she would do, she would call friends to encourage them. She'd write short thank you notes. She'd invite people to dinner. So those little acts gave other people hope, and also gave hope, to whoever, to herself and to people that she invited over. And so the person writing the article, Daniel, said whenever he thought that the challenges he was facing were insurmountable, he would think about this lady and felt like if she can do it, I can do it. And that's what I would like you all to think. If I can have a go at something, you can have a go, and you have value and you have talents and you have the ability to make a difference in this world. And as you show love for other people, you will be a miracle. You will make miracles. And you may not realize at the time, but you do make a difference. Catherine mentioned here, he who saves one saves the world. All right. So everybody feels like, I'll have hope later, or when I see proof of things changing, then I'll have hope. But I think we have to keep having hope regardless. Try and, look for evidence of miracles, pray for miracles, and even if they're just small miracles, ask to be the witness of the miracles. So, we talk a lot about the daily things that we do to help us, I guess, align ourselves with divine inspiration and to feel divine love and feel that we're making a difference. So daily prayer, daily meditation, reading uplifting things, read your scriptures, read books or magazines or poems or, stories that lift you up, that make you feel better. Things that bring a tear to your eye because it gives you hope. Opportunities to confirm hope. Go out in nature. In Australia, we had so many bushfires and so many areas were ravaged. But if you go into those areas now, you can see all the new growth that's happening. Nature didn't give up because there was a bushfire. Keeps going, keeps growing and making seeds and making a difference in its little square of the world. And if you see yourself as one little shoot that's growing out of a burnt area, you can make that difference. So taking notice of the small details, the little events, they help give you hope. Put a nice quote on the front of your phone or pin something up on the wall or the mirror. Listen to that song that gives you hope. Even if you have to listen to it 20 times before you have hope, do that. Always ask for help, divine help, especially when you're struggling. And when you've got a little bit better than just struggling, express gratitude that you are a little better than you were. Express gratitude that you have the capacity to help someone, that you can make a difference. If you need help, ask for help. There are many healers and people that we know that make a difference. You can be the person that makes a little difference. Okay, so a friend of mine often prays for help with her family, and they've had some big challenges to face. And she gave the example of she was told to make a pavlova for someone. She's like, really? I've got to make a pavlova? So she made the pavlova, but she didn't want to take it there, so she made her a friend drop it off. And the person that she dropped it off to actually died a few days later. And he had been saying to his wife, I really want to try a pavlova. And so she gave that guy his dying wish, even though she didn't know why she had to do it. And, that's a great example to me to think, ask God for help in what you need help and say, all right, I'm your hands. Where would you have me help? Yeah, you can make a difference, and you just don't know. When you're inspired to call someone or to send them a text, just do it. Don't doubt or say, I might be bothering. Just send that text. If you're inspired to do that, you need to do that. Don't worry about the outcome. All right, let's use an oil. So an oil that comes up is neroli. Now, neroli is about shared purpose and partnership. So sometimes we think about our partner, but if you think about partnering with divinity, so whoever you're partnering with, whether it's your actual partner, a community group. Okay, so you could use neroli to help partner yourself with God and partner yourself in making a difference. So I think if each of us wake up a bit and feel that we can, show love wherever we are, we can make a difference. We are making a difference, and we need to continue. All right, so now we're going to go up into one of the higher chakras. So let's go to chakra 10. Okay, so let's look up skin. Sometimes when I do these calls, I have a lot of opposition. I can remember one time the topic was about light, and I had so much opposition. I think the call must have dropped out about 4 times. It was really hard. All right, so what's coming up into skin is inner conflict surfacing. So interesting what comes to mind here. Our skin is really a representation of our gut. So if our gut isn't in order, our skin is not in order. And also our skin is about what we show to the world and about how we feel about ourselves. A lot of us don't see our own beauty. We can be very harsh critics of ourselves. So I'm going to challenge you to look for the beauty within yourself. I think COVID has been a big worry, and, if your immune system is challenged, you can feel worried. But I was listening to a talk by Dr. Joe Dispenza, and it's worth listening to it. He talks about if we give up and hide, that's not so good. We need to have trust and love. And so Joe Dispenza on this interview was saying, taking time to pray, meditate, have good thoughts, even 10 minutes a day or a couple of times a day, he said within 4 days there was a 50% improvement in the immune system in their research. 4 days, only 4 days of thinking positively just for 10 minutes twice a day. That's worth doing to help your immune system to be stronger. We can all do that. Let's start with that. So Leela's mentioned here for the skin rose, frankincense, sandalwood and manuka. And Julie's mentioned homeschooling pressures. Yes, you've really got to have some love for teachers when you think about homeschooling, isn't it? All right. I guess, having to suddenly become the teacher now is very challenging. And, as a teacher, I guess you have that intense time, but then, school finishes and you can go home. When you're homeschooling, the pressure doesn't go away. It just changes the area that you've got to be teaching in. All right, so more reactions to feelings. This can be trapped in our skin. All right, so what's coming up here is the feeling that nobody loves me. So Catherine's mentioned here, I thought from the start that fear would spread the virus quicker than anything. I agree with you. And so we have to invest in love and, these small acts of kindness and all these things to make a difference. All right, more feelings stuck in our skin. Holding on to deep anger, resentment, hate, revenge, or jealousy. And often we look at other people and they might look beautiful or they might seem to have everything together. Maybe they're thin or, look young. But believe me, if I've learned anything from working with people is everybody has problems. There is not one person on this earth that doesn't have problems. And no matter how much their life might look wonderful from the outside, as soon as you start talking to them about the difficulties they face, every person has a problem. We always imagine that everyone else is on this wonderful cruise life and that we missed out on the invite to the cruise. Not true. All right, what else is coming up here is being anxious over details. If there's one thing I've learned in life, it's that if I wait till anything's perfect before I do it, I wouldn't do anything ever. And nothing is perfect. Everything could be done better. Nothing goes exactly to plan. But you know what? Have a go anyway. If you're waiting for perfection, you'll be dead. Just have a go. Doesn't matter if it's imperfect. And my good friend Cassie comes over and helps me often. And sometimes, we might make something that doesn't taste wonderful. But you know what? There's nothing that you can't fix with some herbs and some salt and some garlic. Don't give up. Don't throw it away. Just keep striving and doing the best that you can. Yeah, don't give up. These are the miracles. You are the miracle in someone's life. All right, so there's a generational component to some of these feelings. Dad's side, Dad's mum, and the women. All right, holding on to old concepts. So when I was at school, it was, white Caucasians, and my mum's Italian and my father was Dutch. So I was the closest thing to not white Australian, and look at me, in the school. So I was picked on by some of these kids. And so I was the vegetable-eating maggot commonly found with a nose in the book because I chose to withdraw and not deal with people. And I still want to hide. So some days I still feel like that vegetable-eating maggot. But you know what? No matter what anyone says to you or how they've hurt you, I can still do good. No matter how lousy I feel, I can still do good. And so can you. And these old things that have been said to us, I want you to write it and burn it. Burn it with joy. That is not who you are. You are an amazing person. You've just forgotten who you are. And I want to be the reminder to you of who you are and that you make a difference. You make a difference to me. You make a difference to other people. Keep going. Keep shining. And often, we have a lot of anger at ourselves or we have a lot of anger at our circumstances or people from our past. Forgive them. Don't let them control you anymore. When we don't forgive, it's like we're hanging on to that stuff and we're hanging on to them for dear life. Let them go. All right, something in our timeline, age 3, age 10, age 20, age 42, age 53, age 60, and page 31. Right. So this is Feelings Buried Alive Never Die. So this is the reference guide, and there's a book about this. All right. So adversity is energized by human fear. So isn't that important? We need to understand if we buy in on the fear and everything that's happening right now, we energize adversity. So don't want to do that. Let us go back into faith and go back into, making a difference. Go back into just doing your small acts of kindness. So it's talking about good books. What books have inspired you to make change in your life? What books have helped you turn your life around? What books have helped you think differently? What books have helped you love yourself a bit better? What books have helped you love others a bit better? All right, so now we need to work on the cranial bones. All right, back on the left side, some sort of invaders affecting our cranial bones. All right, so some sort of bacteria. All right, a bacteria affecting our adrenals. So our adrenal glands we need, like if a lion were to jump out in front of you, you would have your sword up ready to fight. And if the sword wasn't going to work, you'd be on your tippy toes ready to run away. And so living in that state of adrenal fear can weaken our immune system. And when our immune system is weakened, bugs can get in and they can go into different parts of your body. So let's use a questionation and say, why do I have such a strong immune system? And oftentimes we can be angry about the part of ourselves that's weak. So in my life, I've had skin issues, I've had bowel issues, joint issues. So there's different areas of your life or different areas of your body that are talking to you about areas of your life. And so we see these things as weaknesses, but they're not weaknesses, they're messages. They're areas to look at to help you feel strength and confidence in yourself. And everybody that has a lung problem at the moment is fearful, but let's love our lungs and see what our lungs are saying to us and unscramble the message so that we know what we need to change. So Leela's mentioned Louise Hay, You Can Heal Your Life. And, there's a lady that had a lot of opposition and turned it around and benefited all of us. So let's go into lungs just for a second. All right, not being able to do things your way. So instead of thinking about doing things one way, let us become the masters of how can I do this? What's another way that I can do this? And, this is how we learn to do things better. Yeah, lungs can be grief, letting go of the past. Yeah, and some things in our life did not go to plan. They weren't what we wanted. And, it just was awful. And I'd be the first to offer you a hug for the awful times. There are times in your life that you wished you didn't have to live through. But we know that makes us stronger. So don't let that stop you. Okay, so TJ's mentioned she likes the book Hidden Treasures by Leslie Householder. Free download. Okay. So we've had a few suggestions of books. Have a look. See if these books call you and help you to feel better about yourself. Look up different aspects of where your body's talking to you. All right, what's coming up in the bowel is loss of enthusiasm and drive. And, yeah, we've had some really difficult times, isn't it? Being locked up at home for many people gives a loss of enthusiasm. All right, so just like we can react to bad food, we can react to bad feelings. So this is, again, from the Feelings Buried Alive Never Die. It says, if all feelings indeed do have vibrations, and negative feelings or vibrations cause us to thrust and repel ourselves away from our source, thereby diminishing our peace, think of what we could accomplish and become by changing all negative feelings to positive feelings. The bottom line is, rid yourself of fear. Dr. Gerald G. Jampolsky knew what he was talking about when he titled his book, Love is Letting Go of Fear. When we let go of fear, the only thing left for us to experience is love. When we allow vibrations of love to fill the immensity of our space, we are then enabling ourselves to discover the great and glorious being that God designed us to be. So you are all amazing beings. And I struggle with being, but let's all hold hands and help each other be. TJ's mentioned another good book, Why Do I Do What I Do by Virginia Dunstone. Yeah, how to understand yourself and others. Very good. I'd have to put in there the 4 tendencies. I learned so much about myself in that book. All right, so there's a generational component to the bowel. Dad's side, dad's dad. and the men. So let's let go of these things that are hiding in our bowel. We'll say thank you to the bowel for what it's showing us that we're fearful of. Thank you for supporting us and telling us there's a problem. We're ready to listen to the problem, and bowel, you can go back to your normal function now. You've told us what we need to do. All right, so we're still in the cranial bones. So some nutrients are coming up here, some good fats. All right, so pepitas can be very helpful. They've got minerals and good fats. Fish oil can be helpful. Krill, linseed / flaxseed, chia, sunflower seeds, sesame seeds, all those seeds that contain omega-3 help your brain to be more peaceful. And the good fats reduce inflammation in our body. So it's important for us to do that. All right, so let's go into our sixth chakra. That can be where our headache can sit. All right, the pituitary gland comes up here. And what's coming up here is rigid thoughts and beliefs. So I had a lady work on me. Her name's Saitel, actually, and she hears where people's energy fields are stuck. And I heard her talking one time on Facebook, and so I offered to do a session with her. And so I did, and so then she offered me one back. And so she was trying to work with me, and she said, "You won't even let me in." And so then she played me a piece of music, and that music didn't even have words to it. But what I understood from the piece of music was that God had other ways for things to work in my family, and that I had to trust that there were other ways. And I think that's important for all of us. We may not be able to get directly to where we want to go in a straight line, but maybe if we have to go this way or that way or another way, then we will meet great friends, or other things will happen from these deviations in how we have to do life. And these deviations are important, and every difficult moment that we go through is not unnoticed, and you're not there to suffer alone. You will grow from these experiences, and you will help other people to grow as you share the vulnerability of your experience. We all hate to be vulnerable, but vulnerability is important in imparting hope to others. And as we hear of other people's vulnerable and difficult times, we feel we can do it. If you can do it, I can do it. And I think that's important for us to share when we feel vulnerable. So let's have fluid thoughts, fluid beliefs. All right, so let's use Digest Zen oil to help us digest what's going on in the world at the moment, and to digest different ways of doing things. And I'm going to use Kim's book here. All right, I prevent the situation of my soul being overfed and undernourished by designing my schedule to have spaces in it where I digest the present thing before turning my attention to the next. Okay, so I think that's good, taking time. All right, my body and spirit are supported as they assimilate new information and events. I reopen myself to new possibilities and fully digest the experiences they offer. So Tabitha mentioned I have trouble asking for help. This has all been very good for me. Thank you. Oh, my pleasure. It is important for all of us to ask for help, and I struggle too, and I hate asking for help. It's been one of the big difficulties that I face, and, not to feel a failure when we need help. But, we understand a person when we step into their lives and understand the difficulty they're facing, and it helps us to see them differently. We can show love to people when we understand what they're struggling with. We care. We want them to feel better. But if we only want to show people our perfection, then they relate to us, or they can't understand that we are like them or they are like us, and be empathetic towards each other. Right. We're all one. Yeah, that's true. We're all family, aren't we? The family of the whole earth. All right, something in our genes here. Dad's side, Dad's mum, and the women. And some stuck emotions. So what's coming up here? Emotional block where mate is concerned. And I know for myself, there are areas of my life that I do get very stuck. And some of it's stuck from my childhood, some of it's stuck from earlier experiences, some of it's generational stuckness. And we can be, I guess, projecting that onto our mate and, have a block and hold them responsible. But we don't know whether we're the trigger for them to be stuck in their childhood. And then there's two children trying to live adult lives together. So let's say I allow my mate to grow up in their best time and way, and I allow that for myself. And let's just say I am forgiveness, age 2. Okay. Alrighty. Thank you for being on the call, and thank you for being part of my miracle. I never thought that I would ever be computer literate enough to do anything, let alone a podcast, and I am able to do my miracles because of the help of other people. So all those that help in my life, my family, friends, people I work with, all contributing to help me. All right, so sometimes we feel determined to carry on, but we actually do need to stop and have a listen to our body. We might need some cave time, or we might need that quiet time just to lie on the grass. We fear old age. Well, I don't know. I look at my mum. She's in her 80s and she is living life as best she can. And she gets out there and walks and she paints and she does all sorts of wonderful things. So what's the picture you have of old age? How do you look at old age and find someone who's old that you think is living an amazing life and pin their picture up on your mirror and look at them every day and say, I'm going to be this person. And my life is not over. And I feel that too. My life is not over. I'm in my 50s. I still have a lot of good to do, I know. And you do too. Your life is just beginning. It's a different chapter of your life. Don't fear it. What is there for you? How are you going to make a difference to other people? Imagine that book that you're writing, Catherine. People reading that book and changing their lives. We need this life experience to have something to share with others so that we can relate to them. Don't fear it. You are making a difference. Okay. So Catherine's mentioned, I actually have a lot of fear, come to think of it, not fulfilling my purpose. So sometimes we see our purpose differently from how God sees it. There's a lady that I know, and she's had a lot of physical difficulties. But I can see the most amazing spiritual and energetic growth in this person ever. And she said to me, I know in this life it's not about money or my career that's important. It's my spiritual journey. And she's totally fine with that. And so, sometimes we see our purpose in terms of how other people look at us. That's not why you're here. And you tune back into what is your purpose. What gives you joy? What brings you joy? Because that's been placed in your heart for a reason. If your writing is what brings you joy, write and share it. You're doing it much more than you were, I know, Catherine. Keep going. We love to read what you're writing. And write about your struggles. Write about your personal difficulties, because we get courage from watching you have courage. Okay. All right. Well, I think we've gone over time today, but thank you for those that jumped on the call. And, if you still need help, you can book a free clarity call. So you go to www.calendly.com, calendly.com/Tanya Ormsby /clarity call. And it's just the opportunity to have a little tune in to see where you're stuck. And, often that's enough to get you back on purpose. If you need more help, you can come in for a session. I'm a chiropractor. I'm still out of work under Allied Health. If you don't want to do that, you can have a phone session. Happy to do that. Thank you to all those that were on the call and that were encouraging. Thank you, Laura. She spoils me rotten when I go there. Maybe some illustrations for your book. Maybe ask Cecile. Yes, very good. Yeah, we're all in this together, and we're all going to get through this together as we support each other. Keep being you, keep making a difference, one small difference at a time.